Friends, welcome back to the Film Alchemist podcast, the show where we look at movies we love, break them apart, to find out what gives them their magique. I'm your host, Josh Griffey, joined again on this never-ending October nightmare by friend and returning co-host,
Sam.
That was your fastest one yet. That was good. You're finally embracing your dream powers. All right, guys,
awake.
as you know...
I'm fully awake.
Yeah, fully awake. This October, we are plowing through every Nightmare on Elm Street, every Friday the 13th, The Lighthouse, The Parasite, 3 from Hell, and culminating on Halloween Day with Freddy versus Jason. So I hope you guys are having fun doing this with us. Today, we find ourselves again in a nightmare, but not our own nightmare, ? In Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Sam, initial thoughts on The Dream Child, this 5th installment of the Nightmare series.
Well, I actually watched this like last week, so I'm looking down at my notes trying to remember, and my first note
that
is...
good that it's not even memorable to you.
Well, I remember the first half was terrible, but my first note was Defeatus's dream.
Defeatist?
Fetus, like a baby.
Yeah, no, this is the weird part, right? Because we spend the first half of the movie trying to figure out what's happening, because Alice, the Dream Master, is now on tilt saying, something has changed, I don't have the power anymore. She feels not in control of her own dream life, right?
Actually, before we go on, can you get me caught up? Because I kind of jumped into episode 5 without watching the first 4 in quite some time.
You are doing so much legwork as a co-host. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Nightmare 3 is the classic Dream Warriors, right? This is where
that
the
one
kids
I remember, yeah.
get the powers and fight. In part 4, the 3 surviving kids from the asylum return to school, because that's something normal. Hey, 3 kids that were in the mental asylum and surrounded by dead other kids in your group, we'll let you back into the population, right? Freddy slays those 3, including Kristen, who has the power to pull people into her dreams. In doing such, she pulls Alice into her dreams, who becomes the new last girl. And Alice's power is essentially dream mastering, where she can gather in part 4, she gathers the souls of all of her friends that Freddy kills and they have a showdown, right? So in this one, her and Dan are the surviving kids from part 4, and that's who we see banging in the very first scene.
Sort of.
Funny note, the guy who's actually banging her, who's super jacked, that is the guy who played Super Freddy in the comic book Nightmare.
Oh, he's the buff extra.
Yeah, they had him there, and they're like, hey, you're huge and muscly. Do you want to go roll around? He's like, yep. So
hell yeah.
That is not Dan. That is a muscle-bound Super Freddy. So, okay, so Nightmare awkward. 5, right? We're far enough in now. What I like to do, we've done a lot of our Freddy and this and that. What did this movie add to the Nightmare mythology that you really liked? Was there a kill that stood out to you? I think that's a fun place to start these when you're this far into a series.
Yeah, I thought that the comic book stuff was actually pretty cool. I know a lot of people didn't like that.
You liked the comic book kill?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. When
you
the
know
guy turned funny?
In... I'm like half and half, because when I see the comic book kill, and they do the aha moment, right, from that Take On Me, that is the classic aha music video that they just directly ripped off for the start of this kill. When he gets pulled into the comic, right?
Oh, when he's running up to the house or whatever?
Yeah, and seeing Freddy skateboard, I was like, oh my God. It really bothered me. I thought it was shockingly bad and childish and annoying. Another weird thing, I believe that entire set was actually painted black and white. That was not a post-production ad.
Ooh.
Which is fucking insane,
stupid.
Right? Yeah,
well, it just seems stupid.
Seems like, nonsensical, right? But
what the fuck,
the thing
man?
I like about the comic book kill is I liked when he got slashed, right? When the cartoon guy got slashed to ribbons and his color drained.
Yeah.
So I like that visual. I just don't like the entire setup of Skateboard Freddy and Super Freddy. It's a little too Bugs Bunny for me, which is kind of what's happening in this movie on and the rest of the series.
Well, this entire movie was like that. Like, when he has the long arms, I'm like, okay, like...
It's not as bad. Like, once you get to Freddy's Dead, you're like, he's just a full-on Bugs Bunny. Like, there's no more Boogeyman, right? Mm-hmm. I think the comic book kill is an interesting thing I wanted to bring up. This is the movie where all of the kills feel wrong, right? It feels like they totally missed what the kill should have been. So our three main kids that we see die, right? Not including Dan, who dies on a motorcycle.
That might have been the coolest one. That was like Hellraiser-esque.
Yeah, that was very Giger, right? Because he's just, I have a need for speed. That looked cool, and then it ends in a car accident. That was all fine, right?
Like a human melding with the machine.
Yeah,
Kinda
that
like
part looks
Warhammer
rad.
40K.
But again, it's like, what does this have to do with Dan at all? Well, so here's the three new kids. This is the question I have, right? So we give them each one trait that then makes them, that's their kind of quick character trait. So we can put them in an archetype, right? The comic book kid is terrified of blood to the point he passes out. For him to die in a kill that does not involve a fuckload of blood, right? That feels like a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah, why create that character plot or whatever?
The girl whose mom wants her to be this pristine model has a room full of those creepy-ass China dolls. That should have been the kill, not a throw-in in the comic book dream. The other girl who has asthma, right? She's trying really hard in all of her sports and diving and school. You know, maybe she's running around so much that she can't actually catch her breath. She gets attacked by a test robot, and then Freddy sucks her face. So it is that one's close. You're like, I guess that's asthma adjacent.
I thought she lived though, didn't she?
No, she dies in the class.
The girl that doesn't believe that Freddy's real?
Yeah. Oh no, she's the one who comes back.
And she goes swimming and then she escapes. And then she helps her.
Oh my god, I'm mixing it up. That's from part 4.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was like, man. Okay.
I'm mixing it up, right?
I don't think she has asthma either.
No, that's in part 4.
God damn it, dude.
I know. I'm messing all my movies
You've watched too many movies this month, I think.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah, my brain is so fried on Nightmare on Elm Street. But back to the point, though, right? I think the point still stands of, so the comic book kid not having blood as part of his kill seems like an enormous missed opportunity. And then the model dying not as a China doll, right? They kind of go with the more classic models can't eat, right? And it's just kind of this grotesque I mean, I guess he's feeding her bits of a China doll that's supposed to look like her. But then you're like, so is her fear cannibalism or eating herself? This is the weird thing. The nightmares in this feel very disconnected from where we are with the characters, right?
I definitely thought hers was
the
the
Nightmare
weakest.
4 dream that I just pitched you, right? The sucking face. That's in Nightmare 4.
Yeah, but, I don't remember that.
Yeah, those two kids, I felt like, it just felt odd, right? This is the point in the Nightmare series where this one felt very much like we just need to make another Nightmare movie, right? So it doesn't feel like you have these people really thinking through these deaths, right? We don't have a ton of them in this movie either. Dan's death, I think, is very visually cool, but it's not really the most interesting way to take that character out, right?
I mean, I thought it was cool.
No,
I like the whole scene leading up to it, too.
This brings me to a question for you, then. When you're watching a Nightmare movie and a Freddy kill, is it more important that just the imagery is fun for you, or do you like it to have this manifest personality trait? Also, because this is something I said, one of the things I like about Freddy versus someone like Jason, I think there's an extra level of terror when these kids wake up in the real world and people don't necessarily believe that Freddy's involved, right? They think these are just delusional kids. And Dan's death did have that because they think it's just a drunk driving accident, essentially.
Well, yeah, he did fall asleep at the wheel, so there's really no difference.
For you, is a Nightmare kill more about the fun visual or about helping, are you letting the character build their own death dream?
I mean, I definitely agree with you that the deaths should be appropriate to... If you take the time to write out a flaw for a character, you should definitely exploit that when you kill them.
Right, otherwise, that's the thing I was confused about, because I'm like, you gave each of these characters this really one recognizable trait. Yeah. Except for the girl whose entire trait is, I guess, diving and not believing her friends, right? Just kind of being a shitty friend.
That's why she lives. She's
the only one who's like, I don't buy into this shit, so I can't be killed by it.
Until Freddy actually grabs her. She doesn't believe shit.
Yeah, right?
Which is probably what everyone... That's probably the normal reaction, I would guess.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, I think that's one of those things, though, right? This movie feels just a little off in the Freddy part. The thing they add to the mythology in this movie that I really loved, I loved the parallel mother journey between Alice and Freddy's mom. right? Amanda Krueger. I thought that was really fucking cool. And this is the weird part, logic-wise, is her child is bringing her into dreams that are being influenced by Freddy to make her take the place of Amanda Krueger, who ultimately becomes his downfall. So it's a weird way to get there. But I like the way they have Alice jumping into Amanda Krueger's dreams, man. Because as a person who has kids, I think there is this terrifying unknown about it.
Yeah.
It is really extra scary, right? Because I was watching this thing about serial killers the other night. And they showed this, it's this British lady who went on it. She was like a spree killer, right? She only killed a handful, but she wanted to kill more. They just caught her. And they showed a picture of her as like a first grade kid. And she's just like this adorable little kid.
Yeah.
Like this adorable, full of life, bright-eyed little kid. And you're like, oh my God, that becomes this fucking maniac.
Everyone's a kid. Like, look at the pictures of Adolf as a kid. You're like, holy shit, that guy's going to end up killing, how many people?
But that's what I mean,
million?
right? That is fucking insane to think about for us parents sometimes. And I thought this was a really cool way to add that in,
Yeah.
Because we start off and we're in the asylum, and just the imagery of that insane asylum, right, where we see Robert Englund mulling around, and when she's put in the habit and dropped amongst these fucking maniacs and they all descend upon her, that's a really fucking scary scene.
That is a cool scene. It doesn't seem like Freddy to me, though.
But see, that's what I mean, right? The Freddy in the movie feels off, but if you're just going down the journey of how terrifying it is for the mothers, it almost plays as a different movie, right? Because Amanda Krueger having this absolute most horrific version of the mother journey, and then Alice now starting this, being haunted by Freddy, losing her, fiance, guy she was going to marry, in-laws trying to fucking take the baby before it's born. I mean, this is a really fucking scary... It gets into one of the cooler things that Freddy does, right? Whereas Jason occupies the physical world and he'll come hunt you down and kill you, Freddy, by his very nature, must inhabit his victim, right? So he's entering you into your mind, right? That is where Freddy's attacks take place within your own body. And to use
You have to know of him and believe in him, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. He enters your dreams. It's one of the things that gets lost in some of the nightmares like this one. You are creating the dream that you get killed. Freddy can alter it and this and that, but it's your head. It's your dream.
Quick question.
You're fighting.
What? Isn't there a drug you can take that you just don't dream?
Well, this is something they started in earlier in the series, right? Where there is this drug, Hypnosil. It was an experimental, non-FDA approved drug that tried to suppress dreams.
But it really just kept you in a dream forever?
No, they just use it as a suppressant, and then, of course, they get off of it, or the doctors are like, this is crazy, and then they start getting murdered. But,
yeah, you should be dreaming, for sure.
Yeah, so they address that. They're like, we don't want to treat them like guinea pigs. Like, well, they're fucking being murdered, so maybe.
Yeah, okay, so you know how I know this was an 80s movie?
Every single frame of it?
Well, other than how it looks, the one scene where Alice is talking to the comic book guy, I didn't actually write down his name.
Right.
But he's like, well, you could just have it taken care of. And the girl's like,
oh my God.
I would never do that. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, you definitely would do that.
I forgot they broached the old abortion topic. Yeah, that's heavy poolside
conversation. Even when Freddy's coming to kill you, you won't have an abortion. That's definitely an 80s mentality.
Yeah, Jesus. No, that wasn't by the pool. And yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it was, yeah. Something like that.
But that's what I mean, though, right? That to me, because every sequel movie, what I'm looking for is, what are you adding to the series, and what new area are you pushing my brain to examine the character, right? Like even something like a series I love, like Candyman, Child's Play, stuff like that. I think the reason they're on a slightly less tier is the sequels don't add a lot to the mythology, right? And I think the really good ones you're adding. What this movie adds is I like the time spent with Amanda Krueger. I think that is truly terrifying, and they kind of shoot it in this Evil Dead look, right? Mm-hmm. The cameras are all slightly ajar.
Yeah, it's like in a castle or some shit.
Yeah, you're a little too close to... Well, it's like a Catholic asylum, I believe is what it is.
How old is Freddy Krueger? Also, has she been in the series
I think they
before?
said later in the series he was born in 1948. Or no, that was when Jason was born.
Yeah, that was when Jason was born, yeah.
But yeah, it was around that time. I mean, in Freddy's Dead, when you see him in his life, it's clearly the 50s when he's a young adult.
Okay.
So yeah, so he's an older gentleman, right?
Because the kids are in their 20s or whatever when he's
they're
in
all
the first
like
movie.
high school, early college age, right?
Gotcha.
But that's what I mean. I think the Amanda Krueger thing is an exceptionally interesting new facet because, again, it's truly terrifying imagery. You know, just anytime you see this innocent nun, taken by these fucking maniacs, and then the second insult to her, virtue is just having to give birth to this. And when she gives birth to little fucking demon Freddy, holy shit, man, that scene is brutal.
Well, yeah, I wrote that down. I didn't really understand that. So that's just supposed to be like a symbolic representation because she didn't actually give birth to Freddy disfigured, right? He got burned in a building.
Right, no. So Freddy is born again in this nightmare. It's essentially, he's coming through. So he's now found his way back after his defeat in the Dream Master.
Oh, okay.
So in his channel back was the child. Again, this is always kind of the weird, like, how do they kill him? How do they bring him back? But yeah, this is more of a symbolic birth, right? This is his birth back into the film as the
That's
boogeyman.
Definitely like an Evil Dead thing, too.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. Claymation baby. Demon.
Oh, it looks awesome, though, man. If you ever, Google it, you can find the production stills.
Dude,
it's
they did
such a cool-looking model.
That's a cool model, and they did some other cool. I think the claymation in the fridge was really cool. When all the food started rotting, I was like, oh, that's dope.
Yeah, no, there's some really good stuff in this movie practical-wise, right? But again, I like the Amanda Krueger. I like the fact of it's a fucked up thing. Like you said, I kind of forgot they broached the abortion topic because that is kind of one of the questions.
Yeah, that stuck out in my mind because I was like, the whole time is just, there's a way to handle this.
I know, right? But then that's the thing. He's already back. So once he's already back, then you're just taking the kid out for nothing. The question
you won't have the dreams
what
in the middle
if,
of the day.
and this gets back to the birth scene with Amanda, is Freddy wants her child, right? When he gathers enough of the souls or whatnot, and we see the souls being fed through the umbilicus, you're like, oh my God. And they cast the perfect kid, right? This
I thought that was the vagina.
What?
I thought that was her vagina.
He's in the womb. The umbilical cord is how the baby eats. But in this baby, he's eating souls.
Oh, okay. They didn't explain that very well because I was like, man, did they just shoot a camera up her vagina?
You didn't understand the look who's talking rules, right?
No.
That the inside of the womb.
I guess, man. That's kind of personal.
You didn't understand the inside of the womb model. You thought that was all filmed intravenously.
Yeah, how come this didn't get an X-rated thing?
You fucking maniac. No, but
but that
the
kid.
Question though, right? So she, in a way, living through Amanda, could also be giving birth to the new Freddy. That's a heavy fucking topic, man. Because then you're really forcing the abortion issue right to the front. Like, if you know that your kid from the start
is a serial killer,
full of ill-gotten souls in Freddy Krueger, can you, in good conscience, just give birth to that kid?
No.
Right?
No. It's like, what's that movie with Tom Cruise?
Though. If you give birth to Freddy, do you use your child as a flesh prison for him? So if you keep him where he is, he can invade multiple people through the dreams, right? If you keep him as a little kid, Freddy can't really go on a murder spree until he's... How old are you till you could physically probably kill someone? Like 10?
3?
3? I'll tell you this. I have a 4-year-old. He could not take me out.
He could kill you. Dude, more people than you think get killed by 4-year-olds.
You're saying if he had like an exact expert murderer old mind?
No, I'm just saying you leave your gun laying around, he finds it. Oops.
This is where I drop the Wayne's World defense. I don't even have a gun, let alone a gun, miniguns that necessitate a rack. So I'm safe from 4-year-olds.
All right. Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking maybe Alice, Mr. Mark, and that by using her child as a prison, maybe this is making Freddy less dangerous.
Well, but if he's already in the child and she aborted him, wouldn't that be kind of like killing him again?
No, because then he's still in a spirit. He's never entered corporeal form.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Keep him alive, but keep him like locked up.
Yeah, keep his spirit locked in that kid.
Well, why wouldn't
he's no longer a dream demon?
Why wouldn't he wouldn't have dream powers? What if he goes to sleep as a kid? Isn't he going to be in someone's dream?
What I think happens is it becomes this being John Malkovich, where Freddy's steering the kid and the kid's just watching, helpless, unable to control his own body.
That kid seemed like he already knew words and shit.
Well, right, because Freddy has coaxed him into a dream, right? So Freddy's feeding him misinformation through the dream about how mommy and daddy don't love him enough, right? So by the time it's revealed that it's their kid or whatnot, which is pretty obvious the whole time, I think what Freddy's doing is kind of crafting this version of the kid to where, because he could, as a baby, I don't even know what a baby would dream about. All you've seen is pink goo.
That's what I'm saying.
Your hands.
How would he even...
So this is where Freddy's powers to help craft the dream come in.
Yeah.
Right? So essentially, he's just trying to harness the negative energies that he can get within this child. Also, the child is being fed ill-gotten souls. Maybe that is helping jumpstart his ability to understand language and images.
Maybe. I feel like they could have done a better job of making the kid, start off somewhat pleasant, and then as the movie progressed, have him like Frodo, how Frodo became a little bit more dark.
You wanted him to have a Precious. You're like, where's his Precious?
Well, he just seems like a nice little kid. Even at the end, he's he's that.
Well, most
that
kids
kid,
are,
man.
right? Like, even an abused, broken kid, I think by your nature, you're still kind of somewhat you're not old enough yet to be like, well, this is the end, even if it might be, right? You're like, kids have this infinite horizon that the rest of us don't have. What I think what it is it's one of those things as a filmmaker, you have to say, am I really worried about the nitpick of how does a baby know language and images? Or do I really want this cool analogy to run parallel with Amanda and Alice? Am I willing to just take that, nitpick? And I would say, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll do that.
I'd just say, write something different. If you're
right, but this is the thing. If the kid's already 6 when we meet him in the film, I don't think the movie works as effectively.
I'm just saying you don't need to have the kid be anything to do with it. Just come up with a totally different story.
The kid is cool on a couple levels to me. I think the kid is integral to what makes this film work. Because, again, it highlights one of the scariest things about Freddy is the invasion of your body, right? You're not in control of your body. And also by making her pregnant and forcing her to confront that this could be a murderous baby or whatnot and make her question the ending the pregnancy debate, right? Now she's staring at, this is the last piece of the man I have, right? Do I keep it for that? Do I get rid of it because of this dream demon? Is that letting him win? Then her parents come in and start trying to take him out. So the whole movie, we see the Dream Master now powerless in dreams and her own reality. And I think that adds an extra level of sadness and, depth to these characters in this movie.
Yeah, see, I didn't think of her as a Dream Master. Because she didn't showcase any powers.
Right? As Freddy killed her friends, she would gain some of their abilities, right? So by the end of the movie, she does almost like a Power Ranger and puts on like an artifact from all of them and becomes this super version of the group in the dream, right? And then goes and karate kicks him a bunch.
Why didn't she have any of that shit then with her?
It's a good question. What they say in the movie is that something feels different, he's stronger, and she's not in control. So by going, he's backdooring into her body, right? Through her child. Oh my God. Again with another entry question. Jesus.
You said it, man.
No, so I think the helplessness of Alice is the scariest part of this movie. And it's something that the other nightmares don't. I mean, Nightmare 2 broaches this a lot, right? That Freddy is just your closeted, inner sexual, bestial desires wanting to break out, right? It's a werewolf movie. Other than that one, this is the only movie that really stops and makes you have an extra level of pondering, one, the loss of control over your own self and body, both, real world and in your, kind of imaginary body. But also I think the thing is, too, is how one tragedy can ripple for so long. I think that's the thing that this movie adds, too, that's fun, is it gives you this whole timeline of Freddy to think about. So we see from the moment Amanda Krueger is accosted by all those maniacs, through the devastation of her body, through her existence being somewhat covered up. We find her bricked up in a wall. almost erased for something she had no fucking control over.
Yeah.
Right? And then
times were different.
The way and again, by doing, this throwback to the Dream Master, and now the new dream where he's taking new teenagers and feeding them to the baby and maybe being reborn in this baby. It's how this one tragedy, right? This one existence of Freddy Krueger just keeps fucking going cycle and cycle, and the amount of bodies he churns up. It's one of those things in these series of horror movies that you just don't stop and think about enough, is how many people's lives have been ruined by that one incident where those two guys left her locked in with the Maniacs.
Yeah.
Think about all the kids and all the kids' families and friends that are then traumatized by the deaths, and the ripple effect of how big one tragedy can become, right? And in this one, it obviously takes this gigantic form of a, scarred boogeyman with knife fingers. But I think that's fucking scary, and it's another fun thing to add to the unknowing mom of, fuck, I just have a thing growing in me. I don't know. We all have hopes and dreams of what it is, but you have no fucking idea, man.
Yeah, also, man, like, rape doesn't always lead to serial killer babies. I feel like that's a bad message for this movie.
I don't think that's the exact... I mean, the mythology of Freddy, right, is that he is the bastard son of 100 maniacs. So I think it just is something that sounds really cool.
Also, science doesn't work like that.
I think this is a movie where you could take some scientific leeway. It's about dream monsters, right?
Yeah, but that's stuff that we don't know about, man. We do know about babies being born.
Right, but what we know is that, what I think this movie's getting at, too, is that, because when we see the scene of Freddy's birth, right? Yeah. I think what they're letting us know is that Freddy was essentially, this is the same concept we see now with the possibility of Jacob being born, is that while a baby was born and named Fred Krueger, something else happened. There was some kind of extra layer of evil that had tainted this thing from the start. So I don't think Freddy was ever born as just a normal child. So I think what it is it's using a tragedy as a leaping off point and then, continuing that on through a boogeyman. I think it literally was just something they thought of at the start. It sounds really cool, right? The bastard son of 100 maniacs. Like, it sounds like it could be a 70s grindhouse, like a Rob Zombie movie.
It is a cool tagline,
like
for sure.
You're like, that's great. But then this one finds a way to recontextualize it and make it interesting, right? Where this tragedy happens and it continues to be reborn. The one tragedy never dies. So don't think of it as, just because an evil person knocks someone up, that sperm is evil. That it's actually... this evil just permeates the physical world both from without and within after this happens. So I think it takes what was just kind of a cool tagline and makes it more interesting in this movie.
Right.
Because that's almost like it. Well, what I was going to say is I feel like the nightmares are so uninteresting in this movie for the most part. I think the flashbacks in the real world is really interesting and scary in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the nightmares were all right. But then again, I haven't been watching as many movies as you, so...
Right. I'm a little overfed with... So I know all the nightmares in and out now.
You know all of them.
I just feel like these aren't as interesting of nightmares as a lot of
And it mostly took place in that old castle thing.
Right. The old asylum, right? That was the mental asylum. That also might have been part of a giant church, is what they lead you to believe.
It did seem kind of churchy, yeah.
Yeah, but
they were like nuns.
I thought that was fun, too. And the other fun thing about it was to see... I liked the interplay between Amanda and Freddy as well. This is one of the first movies where we see Freddy's actually afraid to chase someone through a dream because, oh, fuck, that's where mom is. Right? That was a really fun turn of events once that took place to me.
Well, there's like a door that he can't go past, right?
Right, so when she goes into kind of the asylum as a whole, right, where, all the swinging lights are and all the doors and whatever, that is her realm. So when the dream enters this asylum safe space, Freddy won't go in anymore.
Gotcha.
That's when he's scared. I thought that was badass. I thought that was cool. What it says is that, and again, I think that adds to this ending, which is fun, is while Amanda was a victim and her trauma then gave birth, Amanda made tragedy moms out of thousands of people by this point, right? That tragedy just kept spreading and spreading. But what we find is even in death, Amanda's still fighting. And I thought that was a cool extra thing to add after the, assault origin story. I thought that was a fun way to just add some more meat to that.
Yeah, she was pretty hardcore.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, we kind of talked about the deaths. Let's talk about this ending, man. I thought this is the best part of the movie. I like the flashbacks, but I really like the endings of part 4 and part 5. I think they get into this really, it almost borders on Hellraiser-ish massive imagery, which I think is really fun.
The set design, yeah.
Yeah, that's when the nightmares start to feel really interesting to me, because this is when we're kind of getting more into maybe this is more of Freddy's world than the actual nightmare. So I love the part when they did the MC Escher stairs. I thought that was insanely fun.
Yeah, I wrote down the labyrinth stairs.
Yeah, man, that was really cool, but I like the part more. The thing that I really, that gets me, I always think of it as soon as I think of this movie, is when Freddy's trying to separate himself from Alice.
Mm-hmm.
The makeup effects on that are just unfucking believable.
That was pretty cool.
Super cool. And again, I think it's one of those things, too. It works really well on a symbolic level. Yeah. You know, Freddy's like, I fucking used you up. I don't need you anymore. And pulls her out. He's going to take the kid. Yeah. While Alice is also trying to exorcise him and then see if they can finally defeat him. It was just really cool. And then I don't know if I love the little kid turning into a baby Freddy. Something about his voice is very off-putting to me. It's kind of scary.
It's very gimmicky. He's like, hey.
Yeah.
But you know that kid, I see that kid in movies now, and he's an adult, and he looks exactly the same,
He does. He just has a beard. It's the only he's like one of those people that's just doomed to always look like they did when they were
giant, like, blue saucer eyes. He's like a weird kid, but pretty cool.
I like the idea of, this is another one, too. This is kind of the empowerment movie, right? Take yourself back. Take control of your narrative from someone who's kind of invaded that space, right? Because this is the kid now, too.
Yeah, but you're a kid, man. You don't even have a narrative. You don't even have a heart yet.
I know, but that's what I mean. Tabula rasa. He's a blank slate that now Freddy's fucking graffitied all over. So that vomit is the cleansing spew on the blackboard.
I know, man, but you don't know how the world works. Like, you're just deciding
all he knows,
this Freddy guy's evil.
Right, but all he knows is the
you don't even know what evil is.
Images of this disgusting old child murdering pedophile dream demon and the ill-gotten souls. That's his window of the world. Of course he would be a little sad and look fucking downtrodden.
Yeah, but why would you be sad if that's literally all you knew? You're just like, oh, this is just how the world is.
Well, he wouldn't just get their images. He would also get some of their emotions. He eats their very souls.
And also, why is he like a 5-year-old kid?
We talked about this. About this. Freddy is crafting him to what he likes best. What did Freddy like? Little kids. Freddy created that Jacob image.
Okay. That makes more sense then. So Jacob isn't a real thing. It's not like the kid's dream.
And again, no, he is just kind of this lost, super confused entity that Freddy is manipulating. Right? Essentially, Jacob is the mind of this child that Alice and Freddy are so desperately grappling for when they try to pull each other apart. And I'll tell you this, I love the imagery of the souls pulling on the back of Freddy.
Yeah.
I thought that was so awesome, man. That was great. And again, I think it's really cool that it ends, too, in Amanda Krueger dragging Freddy into the light. I just think that's a really cool lasting image to me. Those two fighting throughout, right?
They're all going to go to heaven together.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know if Freddy can get in. He's got to go to, like, heaven jail or whatever, which I guess is hell. Heaven jail is hell. So I don't know where they're going together.
How do you think...
to an elevator that goes different directions.
How do you think Freddy matches up against other demons? Do you think he's just like a pussy demon and he shows up in hell and he's like, God, no.
Yeah, no, I think Freddy is probably one of the weakest demons we've ever seen.
He can only kill little teenagers.
Again, I mean, this is Jamin's critique when we've been asking everyone all series, right? Which do you like better, Freddy or Jace? He's like, Freddy can be defeated by Red Bull and he kills like 2 kids a movie. You know, I think it's like 4.2, but anyways.
Well, that's not fair.
He's just weak. And he can only kill kids in Springwood. At the start, it's only Children of Elm Street people. So Freddy has a lot of rules and restrictions, despite what should be unlimited power.
The worst thing about Freddy, like, I feel like he's one of the more powerful people. He can't be defeated by Red Bull. I get how that's a joke, but eventually you gotta sleep. But
well, that's what the remake says. You involuntarily have micro naps.
Yeah, I love how they threw that in there. And Freddy's like, "No, you're gonna be micro napping or whatever." I'm like, Jesus Christ!
I'm gonna micro slice you.
But no, his obviously his biggest weakness is people have to know about. No one has to know about Jason. He just shows up and murders you.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, but I think that's what's fun about this movie, too, is this movie kind of answers that point, right? Is Freddy gets his ability through fear. The Amanda Krueger story is nothing but fear and misery. And look at our society today. What are the most popular podcasts? True crimes. What do we all love? Murder, mystery. I mean, that shit's everywhere all the time. The Amanda Krueger story would be, 100 million download podcast that we would all listen to, and we get some kind of weird perverse pleasure in just being like, well, it's not that bad for us. But her legacy would live on. The fear of what happened to her becomes personified in this fucking child.
So honestly, Freddy just happened in the wrong era. If it was the podcast era, he'd never have to worry about being forgotten.
Freddy could just run his own version of Serial.
Dude, and it wouldn't be Elm Street. It would be pretty much the entire world.
Right. The way I think of Freddy is Freddy also has very much this kind of genie wish fulfillment concept, where Freddy has seemingly unlimited cosmic powers.
And he can use his powers, like he could make an awesome dream for someone, right? If he wanted to.
But that doesn't help power him. He would, if Freddy gives you your greatest dream, right?
Yeah.
Like a Make-A-Wish dream, Freddy would probably burst into flames and die. He might be like, I finally done right, I atoned. Maybe that's what he needs to do. That would be the actual Last Nightmare movie. Is Freddy's trying to help craft the perfect dream for Nancy on her deathbed or something.
Yeah. What if everyone he kills is actually having a great time?
They're all in heaven, like, thanks, dude.
They're like actually inside of Freddy's heart or whatever. It's pretty cool.
What would be fun is if everyone that Freddy killed ended up becoming a good dream spirit the way he's a bad one.
Well, they kind of do, right? Don't they come back and help her?
They're just there helping other kids not have to deal with Freddy.
Yeah, they've built like inside of Freddy's dream world. They've built like a safe zone, and Freddy can't that would be a cool movie.
Freddy, they become Freddy's Freddy. It's like a Russian nesting doll.
They're fucking with him now.
Yeah, so when Freddy falls asleep on his hell couch,
turned, bitch.
It's like, ha ha ha, you're in a world of you're in like a nursing home. There's no children around anywhere. It's like, no.
It's all old, super healthy people.
Yeah, right? I don't know, man. Yeah, this one I would say part 5 is hard for me because I think it's an overall product. It's the second worst movie in the series to Freddy's Dead, which is clearly the worst. But this movie has a lot of stuff I really like in it. I love the Amanda Krueger flashbacks. I like the parallel journey with Alice, right? And I think what happens is those scenes become so much more humanizing and compelling that Freddy kind of gets pushed away a little bit, which is actually a fun thing.
Yeah, I felt like he wasn't as present in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, like, you could do this as almost a Lifetime movie with Alice just dealing with all of this grief. She's the fear over her baby, right? You just take away a couple
her boyfriend died. Because, I mean, in all honesty, dude, Dan fell asleep at the wheel. He probably would have died anyways.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's true. That's what I mean. Yeah, that girl might have starved herself to death. But so this is what I like. I like the fact that Amanda Krueger got to take her narrative back a little bit and becomes kind of this badass hero, despite being this broken woman of tragedy that they literally wall off and want to hide her from the world because she was sinned against. Right? She comes back and is like, "Fuck it, I'm still badass. I'll take this." Right? Yeah. So it's empowering to her. Alice standing up and fighting like, "You can't just take Dan and my kid. And no one can have this. I'll fucking fight for it." I think that shit's awesome, man. I really dig it. I like the big imageries of the ending. I love all the... You remember when movies used to do that, too? They would just have those giant painting backgrounds? When they had that of the asylum.
When they're walking up to the asylum, I was like,
so cool.
I was like, just...
See, I love that, especially when you realize it's a dream world. It works well for me visually.
No, that wasn't a dream world, though. That was the girl... That's the problem I had with it. It wasn't a dream world. It was the girl swimmer... See, you've watched too many movies, dude. This was the girl swimmer.
Well, so you see it more than once, right? No, because all her dreams start in the asylum.
Yeah, so the dream girl, or not the dream girl, the swimming girl that doesn't die, the way that they kill him is they free Amanda's spirit and Amanda can steal him.
And they do the John Woo shot where there's doves in there somehow. The doves fucking got into the brick room and started
Yeah, John Woo. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, how the fuck are the doves there?
Think of this, though. Doves. Imagine that awesome painted backdrop. That just exists in the middle of this small town.
Yeah, for like a couple weeks while they're filming.
Asylum church ruins. That's even cooler.
Well, it's probably like an old building from that little town. They're like, ooh, this would look cool on like a hill with
yeah, but I mean, that looks like Castlevania back there. That is amazingly cool. All the kids would be getting high and drinking there constantly. But I don't know, man.
I'm sure that happened, yeah.
This is the movie where I think we spend a lot of time thinking of Freddy in actual terms of devastation a creature or person like this would cause.
Well, because you see all the souls.
Yeah, and not only, it really hones in on how long Freddy has been spreading his sickness throughout all of us. And, I think that with the mother imagery, I think a lot of that works really well, even when the kills aren't fantastic, right? Like, the eating kill's okay. The comic book kill's okay. Dan's kill looks really cool. It's pretty good. The best part of that one is Dan sitting in the truck upside down like, hey, Alice. That was gnarly. When he's all covered in blood and the truck's on fire. That was
dude, good. I like the beginning of his scene I always like the scene in Freddy that they do quite often from my memory is when they walk into a diner and it's like dark and there's like one light that's swinging and it's like, where is everybody? I like that part of
Part 4 and Part 5 have the diner where Alice works, and then the remake starts in a diner.
Yeah, the remake diner scene is my favorite scene.
What I like about Dan's death the most, and I think it's best of all three of these, I like the subtle transition from the real world into Freddy entering the dream, right? So this one has the ripping the arm off, the seatbelt, all that kind of stuff, which is really fun. It has this extra layer of dreaming, which is really fun in Dan's death. Even though the motorcycle makes no sense to me, it's still cool.
Yeah, he's on a motorcycle, but he was driving a truck.
Yeah. It's just one of those, it's just silly imagery at that point. But that's what... Yeah. I think that's the thing. If this movie were only the nightmares that are kind of disjointed, feel very rushed, not well thought out, right? There's no thought into the nightmares. But what they did is they found this human story, and they added a lot of depth and extra fun places for you to take your ponderings about Freddy and what he is and why we like him. So on that level, I think Dream Child is a success, although it is the second worst in the Nightmare series to me.
Yeah.
But I think Freddy Krueger kind of is like a soul food pizza, man.
Soul food pizza, man?
No, what? Soul food pizza, man, right? The worst pizza is still pretty good. And that's how I think of this movie.
I just imagine Freddy as a pizza man.
No, remember in Part 4 when he serves Alice the pizza and all the sausages are the faces of her friends that have died? He picks the one up with he has this disgusting sound of his fucking finger going in, and then he crunches the head. And he goes, soul food. Awesome. All right, guys, that's it for the Dream Child. Oh, you got more? You want to say more?
No, I just said it all ties back.
It all ties. That's what I love about Nightmare. It's all one nightmare. All right, guys, that's it for Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Like many children, it was born. Might not be exactly what you want, but hey, you got it now. Enjoy it while you have it. Parenting advice as well. All right, we'll be back tomorrow, I believe, with Freddy's Dead, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 6. We have the rest of the nightmares, all the Friday the 13th, Parasite, The Lighthouse, 3 from Hell. And on Halloween Day, join us for Freddy versus Jason. Sam will be back for the next time we'll hear you is the Friday the 13th or the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. So listen up for Sam, guys. Again, if you find us on iTunes, leave us a rating and review. We do appreciate it. We are now officially back on YouTube where we belong. Under the Nerd Alchemist, plural, S at the end. You can find us, my other show, The Long Box Sessions, and a lot of fun gaming content that will be coming soon for those of you that are board game junkies like me. So that's it, man, for the Film Alchemist. I'm Josh Griffey.
I'm Sam Price.
It's a boy! You didn't think I was going to not do that one, right?
Oh, God.